This is the Football Show. Delighted to say that a true icon of the game joins us today. A managerial career that started with Degerfors in 1977 and has seen him win trophies in Sweden, Portugal, Italy with 3 different clubs. His international career has seen him travel the world from the Ivory Coast to the Philippines, via England, of course, and others. While in this country he took charge of City and Leicester and was linked, perhaps, with a few more. It's a very warm welcome to the one and only Sven-Göran Eriksson. Sven, thank you very much for joining us today. What we're going to do today is just a quick fire quiz. So we're going to throw some questions at you and we'll see where we go. So let's start with the first one, shall we? What was your favourite job?
The favourite job, England job. The biggest favourite, yes.
Favourite trophy you won?
I guess to win the Scudetto, the league in Italy with a team which is not Juventus, Milan or Inter. That was big. That was great.
Next question. Current manager you admire the most?
I think it's Klopp, the Liverpool manager. I think the job he has done with Liverpool lately, I'm talking about not only last season but even season before, is great. The team is playing extremely good football. He makes them work very, very hard, and you can see that in the games. And they're winning titles.
Why does he edge it over Pep or Jose or others?
To take Liverpool to win again after, I don't know how many years, 20, 30 years or something like that, to win the Premier League, that's great. And I think he has made Liverpool to what Liverpool was once, many years ago. And I hope they stay there.
In Steven Gerrard and Frank Lampard as well, Sven, you've got 2 of your former England players now making their way in management. What would your advice be to them? And did you see them as managers?
Yes, I could see them as managers, and more maybe Frank Lampard than Steven Gerrard. Because Frank Lampard was always outspoken in one way. Steven Gerrard was more quiet. But the knowledge of football they both had was incredible, and it still is, of course. So in that way, yeah.
If you could only have picked one of them, which one would you have picked?
That's impossible. I don't want to have any enemies. No, please. I always let them play, and I did that not because I was a friend of them. I did it because I deserved it, really. Even if a lot of critics sometimes ask, Sven, you cannot play them together. I said, they will play together, and they did, because the quality they had was incredible.
What is your biggest regret?
Yeah, it's difficult to just take one. Some regrets you have in life. I would say not hiring a mental coach for penalty shootouts for the World Cup 2006 in Germany for England.
Did you already see it then on the horizon as being a problem for England? And why do you think it is, or it has historically been a problem for England?
Well, I thought before the World Cup 2006 that we were a very experienced football team. Most of the players there, or many of the players, they have done big tournaments before. So I thought we could handle everything who came up, also including penalty shootouts. But I was wrong. And that cost us a lot.
Would 2006 then be your biggest disappointment? Or perhaps the momentum behind England in Euro 2004 was impressive as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think 2004 we were very good, but I think we were ready to win the big tournament 2006. And that's my biggest regret. Because even today, I can't see any team which were better than we during that World Cup.
Can you remember what you said to your players afterwards?
That's a good question. But what do you say to the players? that was your last game. Everybody knew that. You're losing on penalty shootouts again. You cannot say now, come on, and we see you in 1 month, and we're going to win the next tournament and qualify for Euro. No, that was my last game. So, what do you say?
What I really get the sense of, Sven, is 14 and a half years later, you can still feel that pain.
Yes, that was the biggest defeat I ever had in my professional life, because it was the last game, as I said, and also I was sure that we could have reached semi-final, the final, and we didn't, and we lost it in a bad way. So it was a hard defeat, and I never got, and we never got the chance to do it better in the future. But that's life in football, and it was hard to overcome at that time, but I'm not thinking about that today, of course.
No. Let's look at a more positive one. Who was the favourite England player that you worked with?
It's the same there. If I say one name, the others will be, wow, why didn't you say me? But, I mean, I had so many good football players, goalkeepers, defenders, midfielders, strikers. I had one who didn't want to play the World Cup 2006, and that was big defeat, delusion for me, and that was Paul Scholes. I mean, Paul, he resigned from international football after the Euro 2004 in Portugal, and I tried to convince him to go on, but he didn't want to do that for, I don't know, family reasons, or he never was as good as he wanted to be in a big tournament. I don't know, but that was a pity, because he would have helped England 2006 and maybe after that as well. He was a great player, great player.
You think with him in 2006 it might have been different then? Is that what you're saying?
You never know. You can always guess and so on. But of course, to have Paul Scholes is always a big advantage. And if that would have helped us to go to semi-final, final, who knows? But it was a pity that he resigned. I think that was too early, and I was very surprised. I think it was a day after the final match in Portugal, in Lisbon, when he came up to my room and he wanted to speak to me, and he told me that that's it. And I tried to convince him. I said, I coming back to you in 1.5 months after holidays and so on. And I did, but he said no.
Did you ever have to make a big decision, Sven? Is there a job that you were offered that you perhaps wish you'd taken now?
Well, you always have to choose sometimes. When I went to Roma many years ago, I had the chance to go to Barcelona. And if that had been today, of course you go to Barcelona. But at that time, the Italian football was better, much better than Spanish football. And Roma was one of the biggest team in Italy at that time. So today, you say, if I tell someone today, they would ask me if I'm crazy or not.
There's obviously a lot of talk that you were offered the Chelsea job and that the meetings took place. How close were you to that?
Well, I guess I could have got it at that time, but it became a big problem with finish the job with England, and I recognize after a while that you cannot do that, and I think it would have been very difficult to resign from England and taking an English club, because then you are in the country and you travel around the country every week, every weekend. So I stayed where I was, and I'm not regretting that.
No. If you had a dream job now, where would it be?
You know, I always been a Liverpool supporter in all my life since I was 4, 5, 6 years old or whatever it was. As my father, he's still a Liverpool supporter. So that would be to manage Liverpool, of course. But I have had a second dream as well, and that's to be the manager of Brazil.
It's always absolutely wonderful to speak to you, and thank you
Thank
very
you very
much for
much.
joining us on the football show.
Thank you. Take care.